Hi, I'm Ryan O'Leary. I was a commander of Chosen Company. I've been here since 2022. Done everything from infantry, boat operations to now we're doing some more of the drone stuff.
Victor, or call sign Viking. I'm fighting for Ukraine since 2022, and yeah, also came from infantry, plain soldier, to how to say that in English properly. Radio manager. No, actually, I'm working with all the IT plus communication equipment in our military unit. So that's probably it. Thanks.
Hello, my name is Alexei Konstantinov. I'm from Ukraine, and I'm on the battlefield since beginning of full-scale invasion. I served as a military sniper, and right now I do logistics and IT stuff at my unit, Achilles. Thank you.
I'm Dimko. Back in the day, I used to run this organization. I created it together with Irina and Dzyga in 2022. Then ran it for some time, realized that there are better people to do it, and actually they managed quite well. Then joined the army about a year ago. My job is to fly reconnaissance drones to find targets in Russian rear. Anything from artillery pieces, air defenses, electronic warfare equipment, and this is my third day of my yearly vacation that I'm spending together with you. So I actually really enjoy it, such company. And I'm mostly deployed now in Donetsk Oblast. My job is to look for anything near Pokrovsk, Kurakhove, Selidove, and those areas. So, all right. Time to go to the questions. So once you guys, any of you have any questions that you want to ask any of those guys or me, let me know. Just raise your hand or anything. Yeah, you want it? Yeah, go on.
Yeah, hi, Dimko. My name is Georgie. I'm a YouTuber. I want to ask you, you've been conscripted and enlisted relatively recently, like if I remember correctly. Can you tell us a little bit about the training? Was it adequate? Was it adequate to the task? Was it sufficient? And how long did it take and so on?
I'll take this to answer, and maybe some of you guys will tell us about your training actually that you have received, because I know that many Ukrainian guys never received any basic training. So regarding my situation, I have signed up the contract about a year ago, and I think it was August last year. Did it myself, didn't wait for any conscription notice or anything. I was running this organization, and this was defined as critically important for the Ministry of Defense. So I was exempt from military service, but anyway, I still went up and signed up the contract and let the other smarter people run the organization, because I thought I could be more useful in the armed forces. So my basic training was cool. I really loved it. It was fun. I never didn't use my micro celebrity position to anyhow influence it, and no one knew anything, and did every task together with all of the guys. I would say it was lacking the physical exercises, but in terms of shooting, in terms of like CQB, in terms of general military training, it was quite well. All of the instructors that I had, they were former infantrymen, and some of them were the commanders in the infantry. My company commander in the training center, he was in the Marines, he was at Azovstal, he went through Russian captivity, and after that, so it was like 6 months after he was exchanged, he was assigned to my training center. So which is, I think it tells you a lot about the level of training, mental and physical, that the guys who trained me, that they had. So I actually loved it, even though I shot maybe like 7 or something hundred rounds, live rounds onto the target. And still we had a lot of airsoft kind of a training. that we ourselves organized. Actually, that was not like an initiative of a training center. It was mostly against the initiative of a training center, but still we did it because we wanted to learn how to fight. So I think that was for about 1.5 months, almost 2 months in. And after that was finished, we did some of the psychological test. So basically you have a, how would you call it, like a run through all of the obstacles with everything shooting at you. So that was like an obstacle course. Yeah, obstacle course, like a ninja warrior or something, but you needed to do that in a formation, like a squad. And everything around you was burning. You have to carry a lot of ammo, like 40 kilograms or something. You have to carry your wounded guys because that's simulation, but still. You have airsoft guns shooting at you, like real shooting, not like in your armor or anything, but like literally one guy was hit like here and it was bleeding. So it was a really good psychological training. We had grenades being dropped at us, like training grenades, obviously, and loud music playing, like of explosions. So I think that part was particularly good. I liked it. Good? Yeah? All right. Did you have any, Ryan?
So, no, I've actually not had any training in Ukraine. Any training we did was usually in combat, as bad as that sounds. As far as the training program, though, so I shut down Chosen. Myself and the other leaders of Chosen shut it down in May of 2025 to actually pursue some of this stuff. I'm a firm believer in the NCO Corps, standardization, and this other stuff. What I'll say with the training program is you're never going to get a perfect training program. What you'll see across Ukraine, it depends on the region that you're in and what training center you go to on the quality of the training. But what I will say is, like, if you look at some of the better training centers, they are adapting to what's going on in the field. Now you're seeing them incorporating shotguns, you know, simulating like riding in the back of a pickup truck, FPVs are coming at you. So like there is improvements on it. The biggest problem with the training centers is they're not standardized across Ukraine. They're supposed to be, but it just hasn't happened in a real effective manner. The same goes with the NCO Corps. That's another work in progress. So like that's one thing that I'm actually pushing forward more with certain aspects of the Ukrainian command now on actually getting a good standardized product out to these academies so that every unit has the same standard for their NCOs, the same standard for basic training, so that when a soldier goes from basic and they get to your unit, then your NCOs can take over and they can say, hey, you know, this is the updated tactic for the training that you just received, but now we're adjusting it because now the drones are, you know, fiber optic versus the EW or whatever. But I think Ukraine is doing like a fairly well job at training new recruits now versus 2022, 2023. If you volunteered in 2022, you know, you might not have got your VOS 100 or your basic training stamp for a year later, and you've already been in combat for, you know, 12 months. So they have done better at getting guys that are getting mobilized or volunteering. You know, you're going through it as mandatory. You can't skip it anymore. Like even technically, I'm supposed to go back through it, and I will at some point, because you're supposed to have your stamp in your book saying, hey, I went through basic. And then if you're in the Special Forces, there's a secondary basic training that you go to as well. So you have to get that done. But like it's always going to be a work, like an improvement. Hopefully we can get it to improve quicker.
I would also add that some of the guys in my unit, they, after 3 years of combat, since 2022, they still didn't receive the basic training. And that's okay, because they never want to have it, because for now, after 3 years of active combat, for them, it would be a waste of time. To get stuck into that training center for like 2 months as doing stupid burpees and shit, that would be a waste of time, actually. Did you guys receive any basic training?
Yeah, actually, after 2 years of close quarter combats in Mayorsk.
Did you like it?
No, I had it. It was just a waste of time for me.
Well, first to answer the question, is it enough? No, never. Actually, never. The problem for me, I received kind of trainings, but it was very shallow and didn't cover anything, basically, what you can see on the battlefield. The main problem, I think, is that there is an age which you have to step over. First you are civilian and then bam, and you are in the middle of a battlefield. So there is no training to help to cross this edge, and it's kind of, you need to do this for yourself. If you overcome this, well, welcome to be a good infantryman. Otherwise, it will be a terrible life for you, but very short one. So that's probably the answer.
I have several words to tell you about this. So, for example, from my personal experience, what happened to me? Usually in Ukraine, sniper courses takes around 3 months to learn. Since we were like reconnaissance units, it also takes 1.5 months to get a reconnaissance document that you are actually a recon guy. So no one at the beginning of full-scale invasion want to send like half of his people to like half a year training, because like nobody knows what happened like tomorrow, because they were in Kiev already. So we skipped that part and got like everything stamped that we are snipers, recons, in military documents without no problems. But in the 2 years, like almost like after all like Mayorsk and Bakhmut stuff we already passed through, they wanted to get all basic training documents to be done for every guy in my unit. Why? I would tell you, because it's the problem started that families started to have a concern about like, hey, my daughter or my son goes to infantry, he died, we want compensation, or what, he never learned, but on the words he was telling everyone he is professional, he do CQBs. So that became a problem in the army. So Ministry of Defense wanted to cut that problem, and they just sent everyone to basic training.
Any questions from the audience, guys and girls? Yep, you got it.
Here you go. So I have a question for you defenders. What is the number one thing that you're now missing on the battlefield? What do you need the most right now?
Yeah, I would like to say like simple word, sleep. Because in army you don't have like no personal life. You can just like wake up in the middle of night and start doing some random stuff. That's the most annoying part.
Well, I'll be frank. Toilets, bath. That's probably the most underrated thing. You kind of think as a civilian that okay, I have it. Everybody have it. But well, yeah, that's something you miss a great deal.
I would say, so I was in Pokrovsk, Munograd, Konstantinivka recently, before Konstantinivka and all that fell. But I would say like the number one thing for most units, like whether it's your territorial defense or land forces, Marines, whatever, honestly is effective EW, so REB, and then also like drone detectors. Like we got ours from you guys, they work great, the Dzygas. So stuff like that, portable stuff is better. Vehicle-wise, like a majority of units understand, you know, we need EW on the vehicles now. So like usually they'll find one, or like they can get one quick from donations. It's still not very common to see, you know, portable EW systems on infantry guys. If they do have one, it's more of like it goes to the position. It's not really used for your infill. It's more of, you know, keep it at your bunker so your bunker doesn't get blown up all the time. but your guys going in and out all the time, a lot of times they're not running, EW systems on like your 4-man team, 8-man, 2-man. They might have a drone gun or something like that, but like, it's just EW is like the biggest thing right now as far as like infantrymen go. If you're looking at your recon units, you're more of looking at like your DJIs or Autels, Paris or whatever other ISR drones they can get. And then there's other smaller stuff for like drone teams too, like better headsets for them, more portable echo flow systems. So I mean, there's like a mix of it, but a lot of it's more the tech-based stuff versus random military equipment. It's more like anything tech-wise, really.
I probably would agree with Alexei because in the job that I do, we lack sleep the most, and usually we would sit in like an underground bunker, work from like 4 a.m. till the end of the light day, so till like 9 p.m. and that would be non-stop. And usually the road from the home where you live and to the position, it would take you at least like an hour because of the shitty roads. So meaning that for sleep, after you do all of the repacking of your equipment, you have around a couple of hours a day, which fucking sucks and unlivable, really. And even like within the army, I realized how strong human body is, that it could withstand for like a week. We, all of the unit, like 5 people, we had not more than 2 hours of sleep each. And within that period of time, within that week, I realized how strong my body is actually. Probably I have lost a couple of years of my life doing that, but now I'm smarter. But apart from that, definitely the equipment, in my case, when I'm flying those drones that our commandment gave to me, specifically in Donetsk area, Russians are now very active in terms of the interceptors. So if like 3 months ago we were able to fly around Kurakhov, fly towards Donetsk, no problem at all. So now Russian interceptors, they intercept everything that flies over 20 kilometers above the line. So which fucking sucks. And I would actually love to have, as Russians do, unlimited amount of ISR drones, because they had that problem too. All of their fixed wings were being shut down, intercepted by Ukrainian forces. And what they did, the solution, they just increased the numbers of production, like tenfold or something, because they know each one that flies over Ukrainian territory is very likely a lost fixed wing, which costs you like $150,000 one piece. So in our case, we just don't have that money, and we do not have that those fixed wings. So
I guess this is for everyone. As mentioned, we do have a manpower deficit in comparison to Russia because of the population. And recently, Ukraine has been using a lot of drones to strengthen its position on the battlefield. I was just wondering, are there any other technologies or any other socially implemented things that Ukraine could do to strengthen its position for the time being, given that Russia is trying to advance as much as they can?
Great question. I would start answering this because I'm somewhat biased because I'm in the unmanned systems forces. So the solution that we found is that do as much of unmanned operations as you can and get your operators as far from the front line as possible, because the whole different ball game starts when you have literally robots with machine guns, like those like Mad Max on wheels, something, assaulting the position with the machine gun and clearing it. Recently, the 3rd Assault Brigade, they made such an operation and even took prisoners in completely unmanned operation, with operators sitting like 20 kilometers behind from the front line. So I think this has a lot of potential, unmanned ground vehicles, and basically all of the possible versions of the drones. And may Alexei correct me, but at the moment there is a huge variety of different frequencies that you could use, literally everything. And it's impossible to put a jammer for each and every frequency. And in our case, some of the VTXs that we use, they get to like 7 gigahertz, which is unheard of before in the warfare. So
8.8.
yeah, like this. So, and it's impossible to jam all of the frequencies because this is just too much. And I think this, personally think that this might just be the future of modern warfare. Oxy?
I would like also to add that you need to be a multifunctional person if you want to keep doing a good job in the army. Because, as you said, we are lack of people, that's true. But there is some, if you want to innovate or do some additional stuff to improve your drones, who will be that guy who will do it? So you have your basic stuff that you do in your army, and then you have your additional tasks that you need to implement by yourself. Yes, this is how we managed to build own ERP system in Achilles regiment, because we need to track what we receive, how we will bill it by papers or not by papers, how we will count it, what we have actual on the positions and what we have actual by papers on positions, because it's absolutely different things. For example, you have a Mavic drone. For some reason, it fell on the ground. By papers, you dismiss it, you lost it. But for example, your team found it and it's lost, and you can use it by papers, but you still have it, and you need to find a way how you will use it by papers, because our army runs papers for everything, like even for reconnaissance missions, that we are using this drone serial number, la la la. Yeah, so it's quite tricky in the army. Like when you said that you will fly drones, no, you won't fly drones. You will dig trench, you will fly drones, you will charge batteries, you will need to learn how you will solder drones, solder VTX parts to that drone, and a lot of extra things. And you will need to think about accommodation, because it's a huge problem in Ukraine, especially in East, Kharkiv and other regions, because like just imagine that you are a separate regiment around 3,000 people and you need to accommodate those people.
And you need them to have toilet and shower. Because some of them are very picky, like myself, and it makes it so much harder.
As I said, this is like very tricky parts.
Yeah, bad man.
That's a tough question. Honestly, yeah, we can build some very sophisticated technique to, I don't know, use UAV not only on in the air but also in the ground, with weaponed with machine guns or flame throwers, whatever. But if we want to change the, well, I mean, if we want to make a change now, so I think the main focus should be on the small artillery, so mortars. In, I don't know what in other brigades, but in our brigade, we have quite used units, and the precision of these mortars are quite questionable. But on the battlefield, this small, 60 millimeters, 72 millimeters, other even 120 millimeters mortars can truly stop the progressions of occupants for a while. Because if we found them, we just kill or throw several mortars on, rounds in the middle of their group, and that's it. It stops. No UAV needed, no FPV drones needed, and most of our soldiers know how to use this. From mortar units. But the problem now is we don't have proper ammunition meaning that sometimes quality of this ammunition is absolutely disgusting. The quality of mortars themselves is absolutely disgusting. So I think that if we focus on that as well, it might be a really game-changing thing. Okay, FPV drones are also doing quite a good job. I can say that a very small unit can stay for months on the same place if they have enough drones, explosives, and drone operators. That's true. Well, I saw that myself. But if we want to change the game completely, we need different approaches.
Like how to conserve power, man. Like, so I've got 12 years of war now between Ukraine, Iraq, Afghanistan, and some other places. And like, I've always been an infantryman. I love infantry. I think like drones are obviously going to be the future on this for a lot of cases, but for Ukraine to be able to save the manpower that it needs to continue to put up a good fight, there needs to be like doctrinal shifts in how manpower is used. Drones alone aren't going to stop, you know, the loss of manpower, the loss of ground. You need to combine arms with like mortars, artillery, tanks, and the biggest thing, like you see now with like SBS, Magyar, and those guys doing the drone wall. The drone wall is a good idea. It can be beneficial, but it also has to be integrated at the local level with the local battalions, the local brigades. The biggest thing that lacks in the Ukrainian armed forces is the coordination, cohesion between separate brigades, separate battalions. If they can bridge that on a more effective manner and, you know, integrate each other's strengths with their weaknesses more, it'll be more effective with their lowered manpower. And like Rob was pointing out, like, you know, what Russia does is they have the Rubicon group, and they're basically using those as drone shock troops. Ukraine can do the same exact thing in certain areas where lines are collapsing or where they might be able to even gain a benefit. But for them to be able to do it on an effective scale that the Russian Rubicon group is doing, they really need to integrate those guys when they move to that front line, whether it's for defense or for offensive purposes. So like the biggest thing that Ukraine really needs to work on is their cohesion, coordination of fires, and basically building like a modern combined arms, but it takes a lot of doctrinal shifts to do that. It is working in certain units, more so than others, but is getting all the units to talk and move together as one, you know, one fluid functioning body is what will really help out as far as the lowered manpower goes.
Actually, absolutely agree to this, and I think even creating those smaller groups that are really specializing in something very specific, like rescue team for FPV that some direction is falling, we have another Avdiivka, big shift kind of a thing. If we can have 10 little groups of real experts in FPV with unlimited resources and throw them to fight the fire in that direction, I think that would be beneficial. The way that those Russian guys from Rubicon do, they have recently been moved to my area of work, and they have shot down successfully a few of my fixed wings, which makes me even somehow, well, I despise them, but I respect them for their good work because they have managed to do it. So if there is a way to change the doctrine to allow such formations to exist, for us to be non-linear, that would be just great. But generally, I mean, Ukraine will always lack the manpower against Russia. That's the reality, let's face it. And that's why we have to fight anyhow smarter than they do. But they're learning, so. Anyone else from the audience, right? Richard?
Hello, do I have to press a button? No, I don't. My question is to yourself and everyone else is, what effect do you see from the work of Dzyga's Paw on the front lines? Because you have a lot of donors here that every day are donating to make sure that they're helping the military. But there are lots of comments online that say, well, the military has Mavics bought for them. It has equipment purchased for them, millions and millions, billions of dollars. Why is it still important that people are donating and do volunteer efforts actually have an impact on the front line? And what percentage roughly do you see that is? Is it 50-50? Is it 10%? Yeah.
Great question. Actually, I can give an example from my specific unit. So in my case, I came to the unit. I was said that I'm going to be issued the work weapon, my fixed-wing UAV, and that would be more or less it. Maybe we'll give you one Starlink, and that's it. The rest, you guys go figure out yourself. And so we did. And I was lucky to have good guys in my specific unit that we've been able to, they have fundraised something, I have fundraised something. So in the end, we have all of the work trucks that we need. In the end, we have all of the EcoFlows, all of the monitors, very specific equipment that we need, all of the modifications to the unmanned complex that we have been given. We have did that by ourselves with the help of volunteers, with the help of organizations like Dzyga, with the help of me being somewhat public so I can fundraise. So we've got like ourselves a van and a pickup truck. It really made a huge difference for our specific unit. And yes, we could have been waiting for that from the military, but that would delay our combat work for like months. And we wouldn't be able to jump into that window of opportunity while we still could, let's say, fly around Kurakhove, fly towards Donetsk, and see the juicy targets in there and target HIMARS onto those targets. So the window of opportunity would be missed. And I think this is the biggest effect that those organizations do. They help units move quicker so they could fit into that window of opportunity to inflict some enormous damage towards the enemy. But that is a specific case of me, myself, and somewhat fancy unit. But in the infantry, it's 100% the same, and I think it really it's a deciding factor whether the guys are gonna survive or not. So I think that is a whole different ball game. Let's say we also have those drone detectors that detect video from FPV drone, like Dzyga. That's the name of the tool, not the name of the dog. My guys, they always take that when we are reconning the new positions, where to work from. And sometimes it really beeps because in our area, 20 kilometers isn't safe anymore. We always have like FPV drones flying at us in the range of 20 kilometers away from the front line. Like almost every day, each time that we commute to the positions, which used to be a very safe distance, right now is tricky, I would say. So these things, they give you more situational awareness and better chances of survival, at least in my case. So anything from the infantry side?
Yeah, so like the biggest thing that NGOs and stuff like this help out with is, so like even with EW, so the unit might issue or issue the team or whatever, like EW for a vehicle. Those EW platforms, when you're driving around on the front line, like through Pokros, Smirnograd, or a tree line, those cones on top get damaged real easy. Sometimes the wires get pulled, whatever. The biggest problem is, and like he brought it up earlier, the Ukrainians have paperwork for everything, but like if you damage a cone on an EW system, you know, you have like 4 or 5 acts that you have to fill out. If they're not filled out perfectly correct, they get sent back. And it takes a lot of time for the Ukrainian military to recognize the issue. Okay, this is why it happened. Okay, now we'll fix it. But during that time, you don't really have the opportunity to keep using that equipment, or you use it, you know, half working. Whereas it's a lot quicker for NGOs to be able to supply this equipment to the units, and stamping like the act for an NGO is 10 times quicker than it is trying to figure out who's at fault for breaking a $30,000 EW piece of equipment during an operation. And like with us, we use the Dzygas quite often There's times where we were infilling, exfilling without EW just because of what we were doing and where we're doing it at. So having a drone detector, like it helps. If we would have gotten spotted, we were pretty much fucked anyway, but like it's still better. It gives you more sense of like, you know, something that can protect you. But then when we do get to positions, we can have it sit there and we can look at it. So in getting it from a unit, like even with drone detectors, it's a lot harder for, you know, trying to get your command to say, hey, you know, go buy 10 of these for us. Whereas like if you say, hey, I have an NGO that they're going to give us 3 of these, you just have to put your stamp on it and sign it. You know, they're 10 times more willing to do that, especially for a lot of this new modern drone stuff. A lot of it is still pretty hard for the Ukrainian military to, you know, spend a bunch of money on, especially if it's like quality of life things for drone pilots, or even like the little drone detectors. They can be hard to get from your Ukrainian command because there's a lot of paperwork involved. So like NGOs are the lifeline for a lot of units on this because it's a quicker process to get it. They can get it in the field, they can start their work, and they're a lot safer by, you know, having that route.
Let me even quickly add on this. I think I just thought of an interesting case of innovation that happened outside of official Ukraine's army structure. The whole idea of FPV drones, it came against the Ukrainian military kind of command and structure and all of the documents that advised us not to tinker with the explosives and not to make anything that flies, because flying the drone you should have like a pilot license or something. And it all came around solely because of those volunteer initiatives, like the people, ordinary people who started building those, the guys in the military who started testing those, the organizations that started paying for those. And in the end, we have a result that actually have shifted the whole ball game in modern warfare. So now it's impossible to imagine a modern conflict without FPV drone, but it really came against all of the possible rules, against all of the possible paperwork, and against all of the commanders. And I even believe that many people had those kind of inside military cases against them for building the explosives and shit. So
just everything regarding how volunteers help in army has been told, but to me, one simple case. I've been on Donetsk region, and it was, if I'm not mistaken, it was winter yet. And I asked Lapka Dzyga to if they can provide us with the radio stations. So I needed a lot of them. And I just see that the units we are using are decreasing in a drastic speed. So I asked to provide 20, 40, as much as they can. Guys approved 15, if I'm not mistaken. And it was 1 month delay due to some customs because they had problem to deliver it through Ukrainian border. And at this month, we actually got almost 0 units at hand. I mean, due to the fact that I asked radio stations from brigade, okay, I draw this, we finished all the resources we had within brigade. I asked from other volunteers. We finished all these resources as well. And then when we received these 15 units, it was like a lifesaver because we had to send people on the front line in trenches, and without communication, they are dead meat. So it's just, they can't hear nothing apart of the surrounding, and you can't basically deliver the information, important information, lifesaver information sometimes. So when we received that, I just, that was pretty close. We were just kind of couple of days away to send people without radios at all. So yes, volunteers, the organizations like Lapka Dzygi can make a huge difference.
Let's dip into some bureaucracy from the army. Let me explain. So first of all, for all people who think that government do nothing, it's false. It's false and fake. Government do their stuff. They do give money to units. The problem is how to spend those money and on what type of sources you can spend those money. Just give you an example. So, for example, you have like backup officers in an army unit. So probably those guys need some connection with phones. So just like you need to get as a military unit mobile phones. So first question, is it a possible way to buy officially from an army unit mobile phones? Yes, it's possible. The problem is that mobile phones that can be purchased by military unit, the price cap is too low that the only thing you can buy is just a brick. That's the first. Second, so that's why like NGOs come in handy, because they can provide those very important things. Just imagine right now, like any kind of army unit without mobile phones, without WhatsApp or Signal chats. Everything stopped, literally. A second thing, army provides, for example, in my case, army provides a basic minimum for you to fight and do things that you need to. For example, UAV teams, they will get generators, they will get drones, some kind of explosives, bombs, Starlinks. But army and the war requires from you to work 24 hours per 7 days without no stop. So is it possible the generator works without stop for how long? So you need a replacement. And what will happen, for example, because it's drone fight right now, like if your generator got damaged, who's gonna replace it? Government will solve it, but it needs to fill all the bureaucracy process with documents, because you get it from the army, then you damage it, or it needs to be investigated if it was Russian drone, or maybe it was yourself who damaged this. So all comes with investigations, all kind of shit that we have in the army. So it takes some time. And sometimes you don't have that time. You need to have 2 or 3 units of Starlinks on positions to have this non-stop working drones for you. You need to have like several radio stations if something will happen, or you need to have a different type of equipment on your positions, multiplied by several times. So in case of bad weather or something will happen, you can restart your working process in several minutes. So we had, last year we had a situation where our position was blasted by Russian drones, and we got several heavily wounded guys, and as squad leader, he was still like, he aided guys, he helped them with trauma kits, and then he started to work alone, like launching drones and like attaching explosives. Of course, it increased the time to actually launch drone, but because we have a spare equipment on the position, it helped us actually to delete around 13 tanks in Bakhmut in one day.
Yep, makes a huge difference. I would also add that in our case, we are doing like the small aviation thing, and one of the rules of aviation that you have to every piece of equipment that you need to have that repeated. Like if you have a Starlink, or if you have a motor, or if you have anything on your plane, a radio module, you need 2 of them. Like in our case, we usually grab like 3 or 4 Starlinks at the position, because if it is obviously outside, so if it gets shelled, if it gets destroyed, we just need to replace that and work. But obviously, they come from the volunteers. We were issued only one, and we could have just said, well, just fuck it. Our Starlink got damaged. We are going home or something. But it's not like the point of just sitting there doing nothing. Our job is to, or our wish, our will to delete some Russians. And if you're really motivated in that, you will find ways to stay efficient. You will find ways to still be at that position and do the work that you have to do. So every piece of equipment that we have, we literally bring like 3 generators, like for exactly that case, because it works like almost 24/7 because the amount of power that we consume. We have a few EcoFlows, we have tons of like radio controllers, and we can do almost any type of repair right at the position. So if you are really committed to deleting Russians, you bring literally 2 full vans of equipment to your stupid underground bunker, and you live there for as much as you can with those, how do you say them, like showers, but without shower, like wet wipes kind of a thing. Yeah. But you still manage because you know that there is something more important. You do that sacrifice for your people, for your nation, and you want your family, your home to be safe from those silly Russian invaders. So I think it adds a lot of motivation, at least to us.